Welcome to Lean Woodworks. This is my smart wood shop. I originally made a video in December of this past year of 2024, right when the clock turned, showing that I was in transition and began to build benches. I made my templates. It took about 3 weeks to understand templates, and I got them perfect. I got them absolutely perfect, and then I began to build. This specific shop right here I've had for 20 years, and it was the typical shop. Stuff everywhere, a mess, sawdust everywhere, no organization to it. And I did have some organization, but the shop really wasn't an effective shop for workflow. Things could get done, but not really. It wasn't productive when you measure the amount of time that it would take me to do things. For a living, I'm working in industrial engineering. My cameraman here also works in engineering. He does software programming and test equipment, and I do work methods analysis and time studies. The amount of time it takes to actually perform tasks and the best method to perform that task to ensure accuracy and repeatability. So it's kind of something that I specialize in. I made the video for the Jerry Schmidt cabinets, how to achieve accuracy and repeatability there. Ron's probably already showed that to you now, but I want to show you the shop. I am 8 months deep into this, and I'm actually going to start, and I want to talk about the vacuum system because it's something that I discussed with Ron from the very beginning, and I've seen videos of people going back and forth with vacuums. Okay, so first of all, I want to show you guys something right here, the Stihl SE 122. It's a super quiet shop vac. It is the most powerful load-bearing shop vac that I have ever found. And matter of fact, I have a Festool that's packed away right now. When we started doing testing, the Festool just couldn't keep up with the Stihl. The Stihl retails for $3.99, and it's one of those deals. They know what they got. It's the best in the world. It's always going to be $3.99, but it's super quiet. I do have a one-hose system. I've got your basic dust stopper, Cyclone. To me, after doing all the testing, they're all the same. This hose does make a difference though. This is the Oneida hose. It's smooth on the inside. This does make a difference in our testing. I have a one hose setup here. And you can see, like right now, it's set up to feed back the back bench. And these are mag plates that we made and we printed. Now if we come over here to the miter saw, you can see that we made a different miter saw attachment here on our Makita. And we also did a fit for Makita on here, and which is something we were worried about. I'll talk about that more later. But there you go. Those are mag plates. Now let's say I wanted to switch to my router. There we go. I've switched to my router. Same thing over here. I have my table saw. I'm going to come around and then he's going to show you. We can go under the bench here. If I switch to table saw and just go right here, and I have one for my table saw on here. Now my table saw is on. And I also have one on my sander. Now I'm going to talk about this sander because I put this whole thing together. I have my 2 router tables. I've had that sander for 10 years. I saw Ron make a cradle for one, and I was like, man. And then I realized that it wouldn't fit. Well, then I realized, if you look here on the video, that you can make an extender. You can make an extender for it. So I just extended it out 96 millimeters, which makes sense. So this is hanging off the bench, just like a cradle would be. And then it's brought together, it's attached to the wing here, and the router table on the other side. That's where it's attached. And so now I have my sander on the end by my wing, 2 router tables, table saw, and miter saw. It is basically everything I ever wanted in a workbench. Everything's here. This is perfect. I have a very small space here. This is only a 20 by 22 shop. This is what I got to work with. And it's fine. I could do anything in here that I want to do. The Ron Pulp Spice setup, I did do that. And That was easy with the park guide, doing the layout, drilling the holes, making them out. The other things that we've done is our table saw. We wanted an extended work surface with the 96mm grid. Now I did the typical thing when I bought this table saw in 2006. I bought this table saw. And I bought the 52-inch, and I had it turned sideways, and it was long, and it was just a big tank. And now the table saw itself is part of the support equipment of when I'm building things up. Now, one of the things that I did is my wing support is a little bit different. I'm going to fold this down, and you can see here I got these 3 pegs on here. Those are 96mm apart, and then I've got the neoprene washer in between here, so this is super strong. If I get out my extended wing or my table saw, I can use this on it. And this was made, I made a pattern, a template pattern, just to create that one. I actually made 2 because my friend got one too. Also too, if you look at this table saw, the way I have this Outfeed on here, this is just a piece of solid oak with a hinge. There's my pegs, and there's some retainers that we printed that we go into 1/4-20 inserts, and this just hangs off of here. Also, underneath here, we have the Ron Paul jigsaw set up. Now, we printed our jigsaw piece, and that's basically what we did there. Now, we had a horrible bathroom in here, and we actually used our new workbenches and our new work system to build that vanity. Now that original vanity in there, that sink basin in there, that was a wall cabinet on the wall in here. We cut it out and resized it and made a base out of it. And that's pretty much how my shop is right now. We scraped, it had popcorn in here. We scraped the popcorn, put in lights, did a clamp wall. That's another thing about clamps. I've seen the clamp videos online, tons of them, and they're super complicated and hard clamp racks to make. These are made with 2x4s. And it's pretty self-explanatory to see how I made them. Just space them out far enough, put them on a 5-inch piece on a cleat, run them over, you got it. And that's how I did my clamps. That's a basic rundown of my shop for the clamps. Now I'm going to show you one other thing, and I know you've been watching this video, you've been seeing prints. We're going to do this. This is my Ron Paul stop. You see that little red wire in there? When I set up and calibrate, just like Ron does in the videos, I'm looking at that wire. I don't look at the edge of the block. I look at the wire. And it really does work. And the wire's so thin, you can see in between the millimeter marks. And it is right on. So that's another print that I've made, or had made. That's about it for this shop for right now. Oh, I almost forgot. This is the Makita LXT. Makita has some inventory things going on with it. It actually has a DXT head, but even though they call it the LXT, so it's a little more powerful motor. This one comes with a laser, but this is not a laser. That's a shadow line. I still flip the switch, but that's a shadow line, and they can be converted over. And also too, to talk about putting this together in the Ron Paul, the wings, my table saw ended up being out here an additional 3/8 of an inch, and the wings that he had were kind of short this way. I set up one day, I put some dogs in here, clamped it against there, got the park guide, elevated the park guide over, and started making some holes and built a grid out of it. And that's how I discovered how to make wings. And then shortly after there, I discovered that the rail dimension you can cut exact. I can go anywhere on this table and I can be 32 millimeters right in the middle. You can see that 32 millimeters. It's going to be 32 wherever you go. And it's the same way over here on all of this. And even these are, because these are 96 millimeter holes. There isn't an extra row of holes, but everything is still 32 millimeter from the edge. Does Same thing with the router tables. The router tables are perfectly dimensioned. The benches are perfectly dimensioned. If you have the part guide kit, you can perfectly dimension any piece, just like I showed in the template video. And also too, part guide kit helped me do this. When I hung this, I'm going to pull this out so I can show you. There's my extension is underneath of this, but this is the top of the cradle to my sander. It's right there, hanging on the extension that's hanging on the bench. And that's how I got my sander into my system. And that's actually my most creative and kind of my favorite part that, well, we recently done. I love the whole system. I wanted to build it for like 10 years. And then one day I finally pulled the trigger. Cost here in Northeast Florida, the 2 benches, because I did buy pre-laminate, I bought a sheet of pre-lam. I spent about $600 on both benches. The toolboxes that I recently made, the 15 cubes, that was about $400. So the efficiency of use of what you can build a bench at is actually just as high as it is at cabinetry or higher. So it's a good setup. All right, I'm tired, it's hot. Thank you for watching my video.